Well, hey there, you're on the internet, I have some free time, and welcome to the Triple N Network, where all you newbie nib nerds can find all the news you'll need. Let's revisit an ink today, shall we? Now, my first three ink reviews were very different from the ones that followed, and I thought I'd redo this one, which I think might have been my second ink review posted to YouTube, because I finished the bottle. And I remembered saying in the video, ask me again if I'd buy it once I finished it. And the answer was, obviously, yes. These are the, I think, 50 milliliter bottles, and these are the 66 milliliter bottles. Okay, obviously. The ink today is Private Reserve Midnight Blues Fast Dry. Now initially I bought this ink just because I like the color, and I accidentally bought the Fast Dry, but the Fast Dry has some components in it that I actually kind of like, so let's check them out. Now, the tests were done in this Hero 616 with a pretty darn fine nib, and in this Pilot Vanishing Point with a broad nib. Okay, let's check out chromatography. Now, here's the normal chromatography, which is where you ink, instant water, watch it flow. And as you can see from the chromatography, there is this noticeable sort of dark gray gold kind of band, and then there's this almost like shadow going upwards. Then you get some purple, and then into some dark blue, and then a very dark band right at the edge. So there's obviously some potential water resistance. Now here's what happens after you let it dry. As you see, that dark spot down at the bottom is much darker, and less of the blue washes up. I forgot to do color comparisons, sorry. So here are all the major brands' version of Midnight Blue, because they all seem to have one. Here's Private Reserve up at the top. You can see that it's very dark, has a bit more purple to it. Here's Noodler's Midnight Blue, Diamond's Midnight Blue, Mont Blanc's Midnight Blue, granted this is the non-iron gall version, and Diatramenta's Midnight Blue, which is actually has a lot of green in it, so there you go. Top down in density, Clairefontaine 90 grams per square meter. Now this was the broad vanishing point, and as you can see, it took 10 seconds to dry, which really isn't so bad considering, again, this was a broad point and this is Clairefontaine. It's very dense paper, it's very water resistant. Now, blue blacks are very, encouraged, I guess, for the business environment, but one of the things I love about fountain pens is all the color options, and I don't like a blue black that might as well be black, and this one is not, and that's what I like about it. It's very dark, it's very professional, and yet it is still very noticeably blue. As you can see, you still get some nice shading going on in there. No bleed feather spread. And this was what surprised me when I first started testing this ink all that long time ago, was that it has water resistance. There's this dark gray that remains, and sort of like the blue and a bit of that purple washes away. So if you had to, you could recover that. Next is Rhodia, 80 grams per square meter. Again, this was the broad vanishing point. 8 seconds to dry. And again, you see some nice shading. Still noticeably blue, but very professional looking. Now, I said there was some show-through, but it's very localized. It's just there, and then in the water test. So I don't really know what to make of that. But for the most part, there's no bleed, no feather, no spread. Considering how dark the ink is, really not a lot of echo. And the water test, once again, a lot of it remained. The blue washed away, and what's still there is a very dark, clear gray. You could read that if you had to. Now, next is Tomoe River Paper, where again, I used the vanishing point. Now, whatever makes Tomoe River, obviously sort of cancels out the fast drying, because here it definitely didn't fast dry. Took 19 seconds, but here you still have this very lovely shading. It's still a dark, rich blue. And also here we see something that I don't think I've ever seen on any other papers. And that's you get this red sheen. You might be able to see, I think you can see it in the letters a bit. You see that? Oh yeah, see the word sheen, the H? And it's a bit in the scrubby, but I can't seem to get the light right. Oh, there it is. So it's all throughout. Now, I said there was noticeable show-through, but again, this is a very dark ink, and this is extremely thin paper. So, something to be aware of. But, of course, no bleed, feather, no spread. Nice flow. And Tomoe River loves to let ink slide away when you add more water. But, as you can see, that's, I mean, some of it is very dark and very clear, but the rest you can still make out. In fact, for once, it's darker in person than it is on camera. So, that would be recoverable. Now, next is the 20-pound copier paper, where I tested both the Hero and the Vanishing Point. But I just want you to see how crappy this paper is. Do you see that? It started acting like a chromatography paper and actually started sucking the water up the page and disturbing the ink. But yeah, there was bleeding and feathering on both. The Broad took 1.5 seconds to dry. The Hero took almost none. But yeah, a lot of bleed, a lot of feather, a lot of spread in the bowl, or Broad, sorry. Yeah, pretty messy. And in the really fine Hero, there's still some, it's like extreme woolliness that goes into feathering. And there are a couple dots of bleed. Just a couple. Now, even though this is a disaster of a water test, as you can see, what's at the center there is very dark and very clear. It's sort of the purple blue that's making a bit of a mess. And again, same with the Hero. What's at the center is very dark and very clear. It's just sort of the blue and purple that's exploding off. That would most definitely be recoverable. Next is Mead Notebook Paper, where again I tested both. The Broad took 1/2 second to dry, as did the Hero. But as you can see, there's lots of feather and there's a lot of bleed. But I think anyone with a good head on their shoulders would not use a broad nib and a special formula fast dry ink on such cheap paper. Now here there is some feathering as well with the Hero. And both have lost all their shading, but it's still a very nice dark blue. And there are some dots of bleed through. But again, water test, pretty good. It's at the center, is very dark, very clear, very there. It's just the purple and the blue that seem to be washing away. And last is Moleskine Notebook Paper, where, again, I tested both. I think unsurprisingly we can see that the Broad Vanishing Point was a disaster. It was 2 seconds to dry, but look at this extreme feathering. And there's no real shading left. It's just this really sort of gray, woolly effect. Check that out. So obviously, again, this is a combination that I think anyone with good sense wouldn't use. It's a broad nib, chemically enhanced ink, terrible cheap paper. But again, worst case scenario, you could probably recover that. It wouldn't, I mean, here it wouldn't be easy because of all the exploding blue, but... And with the Hero 616, something really weird happened. I'm going to try and hold this really steady so you can see. Like, look at the W in Wizard. Or the I in Quick Dry. What happens is you get these random single long feathers. It's really weird, and it's all throughout. It's not a ton of feathering, you just get these one like really big spike coming off. And you get a couple dots here and there. Okay. That's actually a different color ink if you can tell, but so I guess I must put that down or something, but water test really isn't too bad. Again, if you had to recover that, you could. So well, there you go. Private Reserve Fast Dry Midnight Blues. I kind of bought it by accident, or, you know, thought I'd give it a chance. And then I ended up really liking it the more I used it. It has good water resistance. It's really a pretty unique color and definitely profession friendly. So for your consideration from the Triple N Network, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe to the channel. And thanks for watching. Bye.